As the debate over the one big beautiful budget reconciliation bill continues, some focus has shifted to cutting taxpayer-funded abortion and so-called gender transition surgeries on minors. The House Energy and Commerce Committee's portion of the bill includes language that would put the family first agenda into law. But how is this being received, and what are Republicans doing to pass it, and is it going to be strong enough? Here to discuss this, Congressman Buddy Carter, who is on the House Energy and Commerce Committee as well as the House Budget Committee. He represents the 1st Congressional District of Georgia. Congressman Carter, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tony. Always a pleasure to be with you, man.
I know that votes are happening on the House floor, so you stepped off the House floor to give us a call. You were in the Energy and Commerce Committee meeting today as your portion of the reconciliation bill is being marked up. What are we looking at right now as it pertains to government taxpayers, I should say, taxpayers subsidizing big abortion operations like Planned Parenthood, and this issue of gender transition surgeries and hormone treatments?
Well, first of all, Tony, it is, 5:10 right now. We just finished at 4:30, 26 and a half hours that we worked on this straight through. We were in all night last night, and I am very proud of the product that we put out in the Energy and Commerce Committee. It is really good. What we did was we improved one of the most important programs in our government, and that is Medicaid, which is for the least vulnerable, the most vulnerable patients in our society, and we improved it. We banned gender transition funding in Medicaid. It's not going to happen. Taxpayers' dollars shouldn't be used to fund child abuse, and gender transition is child abuse. And we've always been for you. You know, Democrats, they're for they, them. Republicans, we are for you, and we're not going to allow this to happen. I was very proud we had it in there. We also banned abortion funding in Medicaid. Taxpayers' dollars shouldn't be going to organizations that provide abortion services. It's as easy as that. I mean, and we did that in this bill. Now we're going to be sending it to the Budget Committee, which I also serve on, so I'll get a second shot at it. And we're going to put it all together in the Budget Committee, take all the committees that have done their work, and we're going to put it together in the budget resolution.
Now, you've also, through the reconciliation, added some, beyond eliminating the bad stuff that attacks the family, we're seeing some improvements being made in policy that actually supports the family.
Absolutely. There are improvements that are going to support the family, and certainly, these are examples of how we can improve the family, but there are other examples as well. We put a number of things in this bill. Again, what we're trying to do, we have community involvement. The Democrats, they want to call it work requirements. It's not work requirements. It's community involvement. We want to help people step up and get off of Medicaid and get on to another insurance. And that's important, because if we've got an able-bodied adult that is that's not doing anything except getting Medicaid, not working, not volunteering, not doing anything, that's not what Medicaid is for. And we're trying to transition those people. So we've got the community involvement in there, and you can work up to 20 hours a week, and it can be volunteer work, or you can get a job working 20 hours a week. But that's going to be a requirement now. That's going to be a requirement for you to be on the Medicaid program if you are able-bodied. Now, if you got children, or you're taking care of a parent or a child, no, you don't. You will be exempt from it. There are exemptions in there.
Well,
but if you're able-bodied.
I mean, this sounds like one of those common sense policies. I mean, nobody should be just sitting there on the couch having everything taken care of because they don't want to go out and work. Let me ask you this question. Let's go back to the funding of organizations like Planned Parenthood. It's not just Planned Parenthood, but it's other organizations that would fund abortion. There were some Republicans last week who said they couldn't support the reconciliation bill if that prohibition against taxpayer dollars going to abortion organizations was in there. Are we going to be able to get the Republicans on board with this?
I certainly hope so. And you know, the speaker and leadership warned us early on, don't draw any red lines. Don't say in the media, I can't vote for it if it's got this in it. You know, don't paint yourself into a corner. There are things in this reconciliation package that I'm not necessarily going to like and that I would like to change.
Right.
But you have to look at it in its totality. And you have to understand just how important it is. How important it is we get this done. If we don't get it done, 88% of Americans will be looking at the highest tax increase, the largest tax increase they've ever had. We've got to get this done. And I'm very proud of the work, as I said earlier, that we've done in the Energy and Commerce Committee. We've put out a great product.
Well, and I think people need to understand that, all right, we're talking about 220 Republicans, and they come from a variety of districts, backgrounds, and ideological makeups. And so reaching consensus is a part of the legislative process. But you know, what's often with the majority is when you've got, 205 of the 220 that are all lined up saying, this is something we've worked on for decades to defund Planned Parenthood, then the other 15 ought to come along for the good of not just the party, but for the country, because this is something that taxpayers have said over and over. Planned Parenthood should not be getting $800 million a year in taxpayer money to take the lives of 400,000 babies.
They should not be getting 1 red cent a year. They should not be getting anything. But to your point, Tony, and it is a good point, ours is a big tent. It's a very diverse conference. And yes, we've got some people in swing districts and swing seats that, they've got some strong feelings. And then we've got some other people in deep red seats, and they've got strong feelings.
Right.
And, at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. We're all trying to achieve the same thing, and we need to understand that. We need to come together.
Well, and it's just like you said, there's going to be some things in this bill that you do not particularly care for, but you recognize that it is a consensus-building process. And having served in the legislative body, I understand how that works. I want to shift gears, Congressman Carter. 3 Democrat representatives, members of Congress from New Jersey, recently had a run-in with the authorities near an ICE detention facility in New Jersey. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says these members of Congress committed felonies on the premises. What's your take on this?
I think they have lost their mind. The radical left has lost their mind. They'd rather raid an ICE facility and defend criminal illegal immigrants than represent their own constituents. Are you kidding me? And yes, Kristi Noem is exactly right. They have Representative Watson, Coleman, Menendez, and McIver. They should be taken, their committee assignments should be taken away. Now, and for the last 26 and a half hours, I've been with Representative Menendez, and nice fella, like him fine, but hey, he shouldn't be on Energy and Commerce with us. He should be removed from that. I'm on that committee for serious work. These clowns, unbelievable that they've done this. And yes, there should be repercussions on this. We teach our children that actions have consequences, and they need to understand that.
Congressman, I know you need to go vote. You got about a minute left to go cast this vote, so I appreciate you joining us there from the cloakroom, and always great to talk with you, Congressman Carter.
Thank you so much.